What's up guys, Boss here, and in today's video I brought along a guest, Ian77, who in my opinion is the best HOG player in the whole game. So earlier today he pushed to #1 in the world. Unfortunately someone passed him, so he's in second place right now, but he was #1 earlier before we started recording, and he's using HOG EQ Firecracker. That's right, a lot of people are using HOG with the Archer Queen, but Ian is still using it with the Firecracker. Definitely a more skillful variant and a more free-to-play variant. So this shows you, if you play perfectly, you can have success with it, and I have some replays to back that up. You can see he even has the Tesla in it, which received a nerf 2 balance changes in a row, but Ian here is making it work. So just to show you guys some of the replays coming up, we got a giant balloon arrow deck, we got Lavaloon arrows, and then we got a Golem clone deck with arrows, Mohamed Light, who is considered by many to be the best player in the whole game, and then another Golem deck, and then lastly, Giant Double Prince. Before we get into it, we do have a quick sponsor for today's video. Thank you, Razer, for sponsoring today's video. Wait, what's that? I couldn't hear you. That's right. These Hammerhead wireless earbuds have active noise cancellation to block out background noise, so you can be gaming, listening to music in peace without any kind of interruptions. And that's not all. These things have up to 32 hours of battery life, and they get charged up in this nice little small case here. They're also designed in a way that are very, very comfortable, and they fit nice and easy inside of your ears. And the sound quality is obviously going to be incredible, so you're going to have a very good experience regardless of what you're doing, because you can connect these to just about any kind of Bluetooth device. So if you guys want to grab yourself a pair, the link will be in the description below. Thank you again, Razer, for sponsoring the video. Alright guys, let's get in the first replay here, and I'm really excited to show you guys these games because, I mean, Ian is just so good with this deck. I can tell you guys right now, I don't do these, videos very often where I'm showcasing other people's games that got them to, first in the world. He was first earlier, as I said, because I'm not that good with HOG. So I'm going to be learning a bit too as I'm analyzing and, commentating over these replays for you guys. So Ian told me when I was talking to him, his biggest tip was starting with HOG is a very good starting play. He will start with HOG usually when he has it in rotation, and if he knows the opponent doesn't have Sparky, because it's generally going to be a very safe starting play. And you see that there, he gets some good damage. Opponent's going to go Balloon at the bridge just very aggressively when Ian was able to get back to his Tesla. So very interesting there. I guess the opponent was hoping maybe he would catch Ian off guard, but obviously for him didn't work out. And I wanted to let you guys know Ian also has a YouTube channel. He wanted me to tell you guys that. So I will leave that linked in the description below. Definitely make sure to check him out if you're wanting to learn HOG, because he doesn't just use this HOG deck on his YouTube channel. He'll also play other HOG variations. So if you want to learn maybe HOG Lightning or HOG Archer Queen or just different kind of HOG decks, even 2.6 he's very good with, definitely make sure to check him out, and it'll be linked in the description below. But with that being said, Ian here going to have some nice defense. He doesn't even have to use the Ice Spirit. You see, he's just fine taking that, minion hit, because I guess he wants to save it because it's very good for the balloon, slowing it down, obviously, to buy your Tesla more time to take it out. He's just going to, again, load up with the HOG at the bridge. Skeletons come down from the opponent, and balloon in the back? Okay, that is interesting. I was not expecting that, to say the least. So, balloon cycled in the back. Maybe he just trying to, maybe out-cycle something, because Ian has to use the Tesla anyway, so maybe he's trying to get back to the balloon when the Tesla's out of hand, but really clean defense from Ian. Nice Ice Spirit there on the minions last second. And even though the opponents get back to a balloon, Ian's pressuring with a HOG to make sure he can't do that. HOG is going to get a hit even though the minion horde was down, and Ian's already taken out half of the opponent's tower. He's doing a really good job controlling this game. He even pre-places a Tesla, which is kind of surprising because you'd think you need to wait until they play the balloon, but because Ian cycles so fast, look at this. He cycles back to another Tesla. He has 2 on the board now, and plays it in a way so it redirects the balloon to the other Tesla after the first one died. That was really, really smart defense there, and he takes no damage. I mean, that was just flawless. Now the opponent's loading up with a giant minion horde at the bridge, and this is just the deck the opponent's using. I have to say, this is exactly what you would see on mid-ladder. I bet a lot of you guys have seen decks like this. And Ian now, maybe a little bit of struggle because the freeze came in and he had to go for that Valkyrie. That was looking a little scary, but he held on fine, and he still has a solid lead. Earthquake is finally going to be used here, maybe on the Skarmy? No, he decides to hold off on it. So you see, he's very, very patient with that Earthquake, even though he knows it's good against the Skarmy, it's, you know, a little aggressive because keep in mind, that's 3 less elixir that you can use on offense. And by the way, guys, I didn't watch these games because I kind of wanted to be surprised by them too. So I'm kind of, as you guys are watching them, I'm kind of watching them too and kind of, you know, learning what he did. So arrows come down right on top of the Firecracker, and the Tesla is going to, yeah, stop the Giant, and EQ gets cycled. That was a great first game there by Ian. I feel like a lot of Hog players would definitely struggle in a matchup like that because any kind of deck that has arrows is hard to defend. That's why he made sure to send me matchups that are really difficult. I mean, this next one here is going to be against Lavaloon. So this is kind of like the last game, you know, in a way that the opponent has arrows, but it's even harder because now you have a Lava Hound to deal with and a Balloon. I mean, Giant's easier to defend than a Lava Hound. I mean, I don't know how he defends this. I mean, Hog comes in on offense first play. Remember, as I said, Ian loves going for Hog first play. He told me that is his favorite thing to start with. So don't be afraid to do that. A lot of Hog EQ players probably are like, you know what, I'm just going to cycle Ice Spirit at the bridge, or I'll cycle my Firecracker first, see what they want to do. Ian thinks it's better to just go for Hog, so that's something you want to keep in mind. And he's just going to go Skeletons, and is he going to go for another Hog at the bridge here? He probably will. Yeah, you see, he's applying the pressure constantly. And the other thing that Ian told me, this is a tip against Lava, he said, so I'm going to make sure to tell you guys this. He told me that you want to, when they go Lava Hound in the back, cycle Firecracker first before the Hog always, because you want to make sure that you're able to get back to another Firecracker when your first one dies. It's very, very important that you play it first. So what I'm saying is, even if he had a Hog in cycle right now, he would make sure to still play the Firecracker first. And then you play the Hog afterwards, so then they have to deal with the Hog, and if they kill the Firecracker, then you'll be able to get back to another one. So really, really nice Tesla placement. He's able to pull it so far away because the opponent kind of did a, I guess you could say, kind of a bad Balloon. He didn't play it too far to the left as he could have, and then Ian would have had to play a you know, Tesla closer to the tower. So you can see what I was talking about. He gets back to the Firecracker, and that's why you have to play it very, very, you know, early on when they go for that Lava Hound, so you can get back to it. So he made that defense look pretty easy, but let me tell you guys, you have to make sure you're not making any mistakes. I mean, the opponent also screwed up too with that Balloon placement. Like I said, I think he could have played it more to the left and forced a Tesla out of Ian that was closer to the tower, but either way, that was some solid defense there. No trouble whatsoever. It was just single elixir though, and you got to imagine it's going to get more difficult as the game progresses because, you know, Lavaloon players, it's a beatdown deck, so they can build a heavier push and double. But if Ian gets a solid amount of damage here on the left tower, then even if the opponent takes the tower, he's in a pretty good situation going into double elixir. So Ice Spirit there just to finish off the Skarmy. Firecracker comes down, and then he's got that Tesla already up, right? So he's probably just going to cycle back to another Tesla, and you see he does exactly that because his cycle is just so much faster than the opponent's. The opponent is unable to keep up with it, so he's just abusing the cards that he knows the opponent doesn't have the answer to in rotation. Like the Firecracker, he got back to it, and he didn't have the arrows in hand. So Tesla just has to come down here on top of the Balloon, but with the Ice Spirit, the Balloon probably will not even get that damage, and you can see there, really, really clean defense. See, like, that's what I'm saying. This is pretty remarkable how you can go against Lavaloon arrows and not even lose your tower. There are not many Hog players that are capable of doing that, especially after the Tesla nerf. So next up, we got a Golem match, and Golem is another match where I feel like Hog players are always, you know, complaining about it, saying, how do I beat this? How do I defend these Golem pushes? Well, here you go, and it's even worse because it's Golem clone, and the opponent has arrows for the Firecracker yet again. So you better believe this is going to be a challenge. Maybe not for Ian, though. So Ian is going to start the game off here with the Hog, as per usual, very aggressively, he said. He loves doing it, and again, showcasing that he likes doing it. And it's going to work out, it's going to get a ton of damage, and that's why it's good to do, because if your opponent doesn't have a good answer to it in cycle, that's what's going to happen. And even if your opponent does have a good answer to it in cycle, you can always get back to another Hog Rider out cycling, you know, the rest of their Hog counters for the second time. So the opponent is just going to do what a Golem player normally would. Just Golem and ignore the Valkyrie that's going to take his tower. I mean, no surprise there. What's very interesting, though, is that he decided to do that because the Valkyrie is actually going to help out against the Golem too, so that was just really bad for the opponent there. Lumberjack in front of the Golem. I mean, okay, maybe he wanted that to be behind the Golem. I don't know. I mean, I'm no Golem expert, but that's what I would have done. But hey, I mean, this is the type of thing, you know, I still think this is good for you guys because this is probably how Golem players on mid-ladder are going to play. I can tell you that right now. And Ian made that defense look easy. He took absolutely no damage besides a couple hundred, and he already took a tower against this Golem player. I mean, Minion Horde is not something you typically expect, but we see it 2 times in the 3 replays that I've already showed. I mean, I guess it's kind of making a comeback a little bit. I don't know why, but I'm noticing that I'm seeing it more myself, too. Sometimes used with Skeleton King mortar decks. And at this point, Ian just pretty much needs to play defense. It's probably going to get a little harder in double elixir, just because then the opponent can afford to support the Golem more. But even if he takes a tower, I mean, Ian's just going to 2-crown him. So the only way the opponent could win this is by 3-crowning. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I mean, the defense of Ian is just really good as long as he doesn't make mistakes. And now he knows the arrows aren't in cycle for the opponent, so he's probably going to try to get a Firecracker down just in time to deal with that Minion Horde. And Minion Horde will get some damage, not going to be nearly enough to take the tower, though. And this is getting a little scary. This is getting a little scary, you can see. And this is why it's not easy, because if one thing goes wrong, you kind of lose your whole tower. But because Ian had such an incredible start, because he took advantage of the cycle and, you know, setting himself up for success early on by getting that huge damage lead, he ended up being fine. You can see both towers super low, and that's what I was saying. This is not easy. I mean, you have to have a good start. You have to make sure you know what you're doing, because if you're, you know, down damage against Golem and you don't have the massive lead like Ian did, that's a completely different story. So next one here is against Mohamed Light, who, as I said in the intro, I believe, I think he is one of the best players in the whole game, if not the best player in the game. It's between him or Mugi, right? I mean, Mugi did win the World Finals, but I think Mo Light was more dominant this year, so to me at least, he's the best player of 2021, even though he didn't win the World Finals. I mean, he got second, and he's just had an incredible year in competitive throughout the whole year. And for a lot of HOG players, this might not be easy. Because, again, kind of like Golem and Lava, a lot of HOG players are always complaining about Mega Knight, Mega Knight, Mega Knight, Mega Knight. How do I deal with the Mega Knight? You know, people think it's so OP. Well, Ian is going to show you how to deal with Mega Knight. Queen 2, and Ian doesn't have a Lightning. He's got the EQ. So, how the heck are you going to kill the Queen? Well, good news is you do have the Valkyrie, which has a lot of hit points, and it's going to be able to tank for it very, very nicely. Mo Light just goes with guards at the bridge there, and Queen comes down. It does, I believe, fully counter a HOG if you activate the ability, but Mohamed Light not gonna do that for some reason. He just, maybe a little bit of a mistake. I can't believe I'm saying Mohamed Light made a mistake, but I'm a little surprised he didn't activate the ability on the HOG and mitigate more of the damage, because the Queen didn't get that much value on offense there, I can tell you that. Didn't connect to the tower, so maybe a little bit of a mistake there, and also very, very clean defense by Ian. I mean, you see Tesla, even after the nerfs it got, still going to be a very, very good tool, you know, for dealing with Ram Riders, just because, you know, fully counters it for a +1 trade, and even if they have support behind it, you can always go for, like, Ice Spirits to splash both of them. It's going to be very, very helpful. So, massive counter push coming in. Mega Knight and Inferno Drag. We'll see how Ian decides to defend this. You know, you can imagine it's going to be, of course, with the Firecracker, the Valkyrie, and then the Skeletons to distract the Inferno Drag after the Mega Knight locks on top of the Valkyrie. Skeletons come down last second to distract that Inferno Drag, and that is going to be some really, really good defense there from Ian. And then Ian maybe goes for a... Oh, I was thinking a HOG to pull back the Inferno Drag, but he decides to cycle Earthquake instead. So that's a key play. Earthquake cycle, especially in double and triple elixir in certain matchups, is going to be very helpful. Obviously, when you're against something like a Lava Hound, you're not going to be able to cycle Earthquakes because you're just going to get overwhelmed. But when you're against any kind of ground deck, cycling Earthquakes is going to be a really key play in getting damage when you're unable to get damage with your HOG in double and triple, because your opponent's going to be able to keep up with your cycle a little bit more. So Valkyrie and Tesla, they're going to do an incredible job dealing with that Mega Knight. Clean defense so far from the looks of it. And he's just doing a great job, like, really just controlling these, you know, big pushes, kind of dealing with everything on their own. You know, like first it was the Mega Knight and then the Queen. Queen gets a couple shots, but nothing too big of a deal considering Ian already has a, you know, about a 1,000 damage lead, even more than that now after cycling the Earthquake, so he's got nothing to worry about. Even if the Ramrider gets a charge on the tower, he'd still be winning. So again, Firecracker comes down to the back, and Mohamed Light has to poison it, which means now Ian can freely cycle an Earthquake, because he's like, you know what, if you have to overcommit to take out my Firecracker, then I'll just get a free, you know, 300 plus damage on top of your tower, because why not? So yeah, Ian doesn't even have to go for a hog anymore. He can just simply cycle 3 Earthquakes, and he wins the game. He's going to go for a Firecracker, Skeletons on the Queen, and then Valkyrie. Valkyrie just going to tank for everything. Going to be probably his best counter in his whole deck to that Queen. And yeah, Mohamed Light just having a really, really hard time breaking through. Tesla going to come down, and then Firecracker again. And even if Mo Light poisons it, it doesn't really matter because it's already going to get the value it's looking for. And he can't even afford a poison. So Firecracker is going to get infinite value, which means Ian is able to apply pressure now with the Hog Rider. He's so confident that he can go Hog because Mo didn't have the Ram Rider or the Mega Knight in cycle, and Mo Light even just gave up there. He's like, you know what, Ian, I'll just give you it because there's no way I'm coming back. And not like a horrible matchup, but I do think that Mega Knight can be difficult for a lot of Hog players if they don't know what they're doing. And, you know, Ian there showcased exactly what you want to do against the best player in the world. So here we go, another one here against Fernando, a Golem player. He usually uses Golem, and this time around, maybe we'll see a Golem first play because he's using Golem with Night Witch and E-Barb. So that's a Golem first play deck. I don't know if he's going to go for it. Looks like he just waits and goes E-Barb. So that was smart for him to wait because if he went Golem in the back, he would have lost his whole tower. But maybe he would have been able to counter push. I don't know. If I were Fernando right now, I'd probably go Golem in the back at this point because you know the Hog's not in hand. So that is exactly what he's going to do. And now Ian is going to have to defend a Golem push without having that Hog to pressure. We'll see how he pulls this off. So remember, you always got to cycle that Firecracker immediately when someone goes for a Lavahound or a Golem. Even when you got your Hog in cycle, you always want to do that first. It's very important. And then he just goes Tesla, Log, and then he has to play Skeletons, and then he's already back to the Firecracker. So you can see, that is exactly what you want to do. Get back to that Firecracker ASAP, and then the defense just gets so much easier. And yeah, he's going to take, you know, a little bit of damage, but it's nothing that significant when you think about it. That was still pretty solid considering he didn't even have the Hog to pressure, and he still, you know, defended that nearly perfectly. I mean, maybe it was perfect, and there was just no way he could have avoided that damage that he took. So E-Barbs are dealt with too. Skeletons came down late. I think that was a small mistake. He was trying to protect the Firecracker, but either way, it doesn't really matter. They're both even on Elixir, and we're approaching double Elixir soon, where Fernando is going to be able to build up bigger pushes. So Ian, you got to imagine he probably wants to get some more damage here, and right as I say that, that's what he's doing. He goes for the Valkyrie at the bridge. He probably predicted that Golem in the back, knowing that Fernando was going to do that, and Fernando looks like he's just going to completely ignore that Valkyrie. So that was a smart Valkyrie. It's kind of like a Hog Rider. I mean, it does basically the same amount of damage. That's why the Valkyrie's so good. It's just has so much health, does so much damage. It's insane. And arrows come down to take out the Firecracker, but Ian is already back to another one. That's the beauty of using a Hog cycle deck. You can get back to another one practically instantly. So now Ice Spirit, you got to imagine, comes in, slows everything down, and then he's going to go Skeletons, Log, and there you go. Skeletons came down late. So actually another small mistake with Skeletons, but it's alright. I mean, Ian's still winning. He just has to defend one more Golem push, and then it is GG. Well played. And just, I mean, really good. I mean, it really is rinse and repeat. It comes down to, as you can tell, you know, for those of you who, you know, want to get better at Hog, it really comes down to, you know, not making mistakes and keeping track of your opponent's cycle and, you know, making sure to apply pressure smartly. That's really all it came down to. And Ian was never in a situation where things looked like they were getting scary. I mean, at the end here, things are starting to pile up, but time is ticking down, so, you know, great time management there by him too, you know, knowing the time, and, you know, he ended up being alright. So, it's funny, he's only getting, like, 16 trophies from these wins for games that I wouldn't exactly say are easy. I'm telling you guys, these aren't matchups that most Hog players would say are easy. I mean, easy matchups for Hog EQ would be something like Expo, log bait, stuff like that. These are not, like, let me tell you guys, these aren't exactly easy matchups. Or Recruit Hogs are really good too, because you got log EQ. So, last one I'm going to show you guys is against Kamikaze here, who is the best Giant Double Prince player in the game, for those of you who don't know him. And this is a matchup that is pretty good for Hog EQ. So, all the games I showed before were ones that you could argue were pretty difficult, especially if you make a single mistake. But this type of matchup is going to be really good for Hog, because the Giant Double Prince player doesn't have many answers to your Hog, and you can be really aggressive with the Hog and force them to respond to it, and then they can't build up the Giant push. But what this game will show you is how good the Tesla is against the Giant, and then also how much value the Firecracker gets. It just becomes so much easier to defend pushes when you don't have arrows to worry about, When they have Fireball or a Poison, like you saw Poison in Mohamed Light's game, it was just so much easier for, Ian to abuse that Firecracker. It's going to be the same case in this matchup. I mean, there's just really no way, or easy way anyway, for Kamikaze to, break through, unless he, somehow does some amazing prediction, maybe a prediction zap on top of the skeletons to get like a Prince to the tower or to connect to a Valkyrie. But that's really the only way I could see, Giant Double Prince winning this matchup. So Ian's just going to go ahead and cycle an Earthquake. He's so confident that he can defend in this matchup that he's fine just pretty much using 3 Elixir to get damage on the tower. I mean, if that doesn't show that the defense is strong against Giant Double Prince here, then I don't know what does. So he pre-places the Tesla, just go Skeletons off to the side. He's always going to be switching up the Skeleton placement. It's important to do so the opponent can't predict the zap. So sometimes maybe you want to play to the left, sometimes you want to play to the right, and sometimes maybe you just want to play it right on top of it. So that way your opponent will never know what you're going to do. That was a really smart Fireball, though, by Kamikaze. I don't think Ian was expecting that. And actually, just like that, Kamikaze almost, gets, back in damage exactly to where, Ian is for the most part with that Giant. So that was nicely played. But then again, that Hog changes everything. 3 shots on the tower. Yeah, the fact that a Hog gets 3 hits when you play a Mega Minion on it is kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. I mean, that's why Giant Double Prince struggles. No good answer. Nothing in your deck can stop a Hog. Nothing. So, Ian, you see constantly just going Hog after Hog on top of the tower. Just getting so much damage. 1 hit every time, sometimes 2 hits. But Kamikaze did defend that last Hog really good. I gotta give him credit there. But he had to pretty much empty his whole Elixir bar just to do it. Ian fails to protect the Miner. To be fair, though, that can be hard to do sometimes because you essentially have to predict it. You can't always catch it 100% of the time. It's kind of like a mind game type of thing. You can never know for sure where they're dropping it. I mean, you can kind of try to tell from the Miner angle, but you'll never be able to always get it right. And Ice Spirit here probably just to ensure that that Prince doesn't, charge into the tower last second barely, because that would be obnoxious. Hog is going to come in again, and it's going to get a shot, even with an Ewiz and a Mega Minion and the tower helping. That is crazy. That is bonkers. So, Ice Spirit just to finish off the Mega Minion, and then Hog comes in again, and if this Hog gets 1 hit, it's GG. Kamikaze had to spend 11 Elixir. That's right. Dark Prince, Prince, and Zap, just to keep the Hog off of the tower. So, you can see, really, really easy matchup there for Ian, but he showcased it exactly how you want to play it, so in case you, for some reason, struggled against Giant Double Prince, there you go. It's really easy, no way for them to break through, and that's why I ended off that one. I ended off the one that was probably the least exciting, the easiest matchup, but either way, I still think you can learn something from it, because Giant Double Prince is a similar playstyle to probably P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam, because they're both kind of spammy decks that you have to really utilize your Firecracker and the Tesla well on, and catching the Miners is probably the same, and the Dark Princes and stuff is kind of the same or similar to like catching Bandits and Ghosts that you have to, be careful about. So, either way, was great gameplay, and I'm glad I, had the opportunity to show you guys these games. Ian and me, coordinated this beforehand, and like I said, I'll be leaving his YouTube in the description again. He was first in the world, and someone passed him, so, yeah. Great person, great player, so definitely make sure to check him out, and make sure to like the video if you guys did end up enjoying it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. I haven't done one in a while. I actually think a few months ago I invited Ian on my channel before to do this, but I thought I would do it again just because after everything happening, like the new update, all the champions, and the fact that he's still having success with the deck, I thought was remarkable. So yeah, with that being said, make sure to subscribe if you guys, don't want to miss any of my videos. Would really appreciate that. And as I already said, make sure to subscribe to Ian too. Link will be in the description below. And yeah, thanks again. Until next time, guys.